They were toxic. They were dangerous. Some of them could actually kill you, but people still ate them. Because when everything collapses, food stops being about taste. It becomes about survival. And in this video, we're diving into 18 dangerous foods Americans were forced to eat during economic collapse. From meals made out of pure desperation to foods people knew were risky, but ate anyway. Some of these kept families alive. Some of them didn't. And trust me, number 6 and number 2, you won't forget them. Because this wasn't cooking. This was strategy. When the economy collapses, jobs disappear. Money becomes meaningless. And suddenly, the grocery store isn't an option anymore. This happened during the Great Depression, during the Dust Bowl, and even in smaller economic crashes across American history. People didn't have choices. They had instincts. And those instincts led to foods that today, most people wouldn't even touch. But back then, that was enough. Let's begin. Number 18. They called it coffee soup. It sounds harmless, even comforting, but it wasn't. This was made by pouring weak coffee over stale bread, sometimes with a little sugar, if they were lucky. No protein, almost no nutrients, just liquid and filler. But for many families, this was breakfast, lunch, sometimes dinner too. Because when food runs out, you don't eat to grow. You eat to not disappear. And this was enough to keep going for one more day. Number 17, moldy bread, cut and eaten anyway. Today, we throw it away instantly. Back then, you cut around it. Green spots, black fuzz, sometimes worse. They didn't care. Or maybe they didn't have the luxury to care. Because hunger changes your standards. People believed if you removed the visible mold, the rest was safe. But it wasn't always true. Toxins can spread deep into the bread. And yet, they ate it anyway. Because this wasn't about safety. This was about survival. Number 16, grass and weed stew. Yes, actual grass. Weeds pulled from the ground, boiled into something that looked like soup. Dandelions, random greens, whatever they could find. Some of it was edible, some of it wasn't. People didn't always know the difference. And that's what made it dangerous. Because one wrong plant, one toxic leaf, and survival turns into tragedy. But when your stomach is empty, risk becomes invisible. And this was not food, this was guesswork. Number 15, sawdust bread. Flour was expensive, sometimes impossible to get. So people stretched it with sawdust. Yes, actual wood particles, mixed into dough, baked into bread. It filled the stomach, but it didn't feed the body. No nutrients, no real energy. And over time, it could damage digestion. But it created the illusion of eating. And in times like that, illusion was powerful. Number 14, rotten meat, cooked to hide the smell. Meat was rare, so when it went bad, people didn't throw it away. They cooked it harder, longer, with whatever spices they had, just to mask the smell. Because throwing it away meant going hungry. But spoiled meat carries bacteria. Dangerous ones. Food poisoning wasn't rare, it was expected. And still, they ate it. Because sometimes the choice was simple. Get sick or starve. Number 13, boiled leather, shoes, belts, old leather scraps. Boiled for hours until soft enough to chew. No flavor, no nutrition, just something to fill the emptiness. This was done in extreme cases, when there was truly nothing left. And even then, it barely worked. But it gave people something to hold on to, something to chew, something to survive. Just a little longer. And this is where things start to change. Because the next foods weren't just desperate. They were calculated risks. People knew they could be dangerous. But they ate them anyway. Because by this point, survival wasn't about comfort. It was about decisions. Hard ones. Now things shift. Up to this point, people were guessing, stretching, replacing, enduring. But now, they started making dangerous choices. On purpose. Because when survival becomes a decision, you don't ask, is this safe? You ask, will this keep me alive? Number 12. Lard sandwiches, bread, and pure animal fat. That's it. No meat, no vegetables. Just lard, spread thick. It sounds simple, but it was risky. Too much fat, no nutrients, no balance. Over time, it weakened the body. But in the moment, it gave energy. Quick, heavy, enough to keep working. Because this wasn't about health. This was about making it through the day. Number 11. Burnt flour gravy. Flour, burned in a pan, mixed with water, sometimes salt. That's it. No meat, no broth. Just something hot, to pour over nothing. Burnt flour can taste bitter, hard to digest, but it created a feeling, warmth, fullness, even if it was temporary. And sometimes, temporary was all they had. Number 10, roadkill meat. Animals hit on the road, left behind. Most people drive past. Back then, some people stopped, because meat is meat. But there was a risk. How long had it been there? Was it diseased? Was it already rotting? No way to know. And still, they took it home, cooked it, ate it. Because hunger doesn't wait for certainty. And this was a gamble. Number 9, expired canned food, decades old. Cans found in basements, Old storage, sometimes war leftovers, swollen lids, rust on the edges, warning signs. But people ignored them because inside could be food or something worse, botulism, a toxin you can't see. You don't taste it, you don't smell it, but it can shut down your body silently. And still, people open those cans because maybe, just maybe, this one was safe. Number 8. Animal organs no one wanted. Liver, kidneys, hearts. Parts most people avoided. But during collapse, nothing was wasted. These were cheap, sometimes free, but dangerous if not cleaned properly. Toxins, bacteria, preparation mattered, and not everyone knew how. But still, they ate them, because these scraps were the difference between weakness and strength. Number 7. Wild mushrooms. Guessing which ones were safe. They looked harmless, some even beautiful, but some were deadly. And unless you knew exactly what you were doing, you were guessing. One mistake could shut down your organs. And yet, people picked them, cooked them, fed them to their families, because they had seen others do it, and hoped they got it right. This wasn't cooking. This was risk management. Number 6. Fermented garbage scraps. Leftovers of leftovers. Peels. Rotting vegetables. Scraps others threw away. People stored them, let them ferment, hoping it would preserve them. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it created toxins, harmful bacteria, things that could make you seriously sick. But throwing it away was not an option, so they ate it. Because when nothing is left, even garbage becomes food. And this is where it hits hardest. Because the next ones, they cross a line. Not just risky, not just desperate, but unthinkable. Here's what no one tells you. When survival is pushed to the edge, people don't just adapt. They change. Their limits change. Their choices change. Everything changes. This is where survival stops looking human. Because the next foods, they weren't just dangerous. They were last resorts. Things people never imagined eating until they had no choice left. And once you see these, you understand something most people never think about. Hunger doesn't negotiate. Number 5. Glue made from animal bones. It wasn't meant to be eaten. It was meant to stick things together. But when food ran out, people boiled animal bones for hours until they broke down into a thick, sticky liquid. Glue. They drank it, ate it like soup, because it contained tiny traces of protein. Barely enough, but something. And in that moment, something was everything. Number 4. Cottonseed products, barely safe. Sometimes toxic. Cotton wasn't food. It was a crop. But during collapse, people turned to anything they could process. Cottonseed was turned into oil, flour, even meal. But it carried a hidden danger, a toxin called gossypol. In small amounts, maybe survivable. In large amounts, it could damage organs, cause illness. And still, people used it because it was available, because it could be processed, because it might keep them alive. Number 3. Thin soup made from nothing, just water and hope. This wasn't even food anymore, just water, heated, sometimes flavored with a single ingredient. An onion peel, a bone, a pinch of salt. That's it. No calories, no nutrition. But it tricked the body, gave the illusion of eating. And sometimes, that illusion was enough to calm the hunger, just for a moment. Because when your body is breaking, even pretending to eat feels like survival. Number 2. Contaminated water used as soup. This one is hard to imagine. Water from rivers, puddles, unclean sources. Used to cook, used to drink, sometimes filled with bacteria, parasites, things you couldn't see. And yet, people had no alternative. Boiling helped, but not always enough. And still, they drank it. Because without water, survival ends faster. So they chose the risk. Because this wasn't about safety. This was about time. And now, number 1. The most dangerous. The most desperate. Number 1. Anything that moved, desperation hunting. Rats. Stray animals. Birds from the street. Anything that could be caught was food. But this came with risks. Disease. Parasites. Unknown infections. No proper cleaning. No proper cooking sometimes. Just survival instinct. Because when you reach this point, you don't see animals. You see calories. You see time. You see another day. And for many, that was enough. And this is the truth no one wants to hear. None of these were choices. They were situations. People didn't want this. They didn't plan for this. They were pushed into it. And when that happens, you don't think about comfort. You don't think about taste. You think about survival. Only survival. Because this was not food. This was survival. So now I want to ask you, if everything collapsed tomorrow, which one of these could you actually eat? And which one would you never touch, no matter what? Tell me in the comments, because the line between normal and unthinkable is thinner than we think.